you're the epitome of a busy working mom. That's a theme here. You're an OB. You deliver babies. You're not like a lot of the OBs on social media who don't deliver children. They're just on social media. You deliver babies. You're a mom of 3 girls. You do all the things that Colleen just mentioned. And you were on Titan Games. I forgot about that. And you're here. You flew in from Nebraska and you got to fly back tomorrow. Like, how do you do it all?
There's actually like 4 AI versions of me. No, I'm kidding. Part of it is my personality. I like to be busy. I thrive. My productivity is higher when my schedule is actually more jam-packed. I don't do well sitting. I feel like that Lincoln Revitalize feature, I need that. It probably needs me. But the truth is that we all have the same 24 hours in a day, the same 365 days in a year. And I pursue things that bring me energy and that I'm passionate about. And when you wake up every day and you love your life, it's fun. I mean, my life is definitely not for everybody, but I love it. And I'm very grateful every day I wake up to it.
Well, I think in my view, hearing you speak, I can't help but think about mindset. There's something about mindset, and for you specifically, that just is magical. Let's talk about your mindset, how you approach the day, approach life.
I think if you're here today and you're looking for the magic pill, the magic sauce, whatever it is, it absolutely is mindset. When I sit in clinic and I talk to patients every day, many of them could tell me exactly the foods they're supposed to be eating. They know they're supposed to be lifting weights. They know they're supposed to be getting 8 hours of sleep a night. It's like Juliet said with this base camp idea. We all know the basic things we're supposed to be doing. So what is the difference between the people that do those things consistently and the people that don't? And it really comes down to mindset. Our brain is like a computer processor. It has a software program that is continually running in it. And that software program is what drives our behaviors. So essentially our thoughts drive our actions drive our confidence and ability to continue to do those things. Now, there certainly are some people that are just gritty people. And what grit is the ability to pursue something for a really long period of time. So how many of you have done like a 6-week program, an 8-week program, a 30-day challenge? We've all done those things. But it's really figuring out how to do those things consistently, because that's really where the payoff is. And it all starts with mindset. And it starts with answering the question, who am I? I get asked a lot, why am I social media is Dr. Fit and Fabulous? And the real answer is that I just came up with it one night at 8 p.m. on the couch. But the real, true, authentic answer is I was in a place in my life where I wasn't happy with what was going on. And Dr. Fit and Fabulous describes who I knew I really was deep down inside.
So what do you say to yourself when you've been up all night delivering a child and you've got a cram day, but you want to get a workout in? Most people would just say, all right, it's not going to happen. Go to sleep. Or you've been up for 20 hours, 30 hours. And I'm like, hospitals are known for all the healthy food there. What do you do in situations like that to motivate yourself? What do you say?
Well, I don't eat the hospital food. Stress is good. Okay. I would love to live on a tropical island and drink fruity drinks all day. That's just like not reality. Stress is good. And I live a very stressful lifestyle. So we have to balance that with training and recovery. And so I do a lot of things that increase stress resilience. So I use hormetic stressors. I make sure that my body is really good at adapting quickly and recovering quickly so that I can get back to doing what I love doing. My job as an obstetrician is not the most ideal job for longevity. It just isn't, but I love what I do. And so I'm going to take that risk, because I'm pursuing that passion. But when I have a night up, I notice that my hunger is higher. I'm more irritable. I notice the sleep deprivation. It's a real thing. So what I do is I control the controllables. I make sure that when I'm in a state of stress, I'm not reacting emotionally. I'm not just grabbing a bag of chips at the hospital. I'm not skipping my workout because I deserve it and I was up all night. I do the things that are going to help my body recover and get up and do it the next day.
And so you mentioned stressors. So cold plunge, sauna, very popular. I'm a fan. But when it comes to men and women, there are big differences here. Can you talk about both cold and hot as it relates to women in terms of frequency, duration, temperature?
So sauna and cold plunge are both great for both men and women. Okay. Don't believe everything you see on social media. But women are very different in the fact that we are even more of a reproductive creature than men are. We have these nutrient sensing pathways, light sensing pathways, and all of these things, depending on what age we are and where we're at in our years of fertility or menopause or whatever it is, it's constantly sensing the environment. Is this a good time to reproduce? And when we put too much stress on the system and the body says, oh my gosh, there's not enough energy, it's too cold, it's too hot, there's not enough sunlight, whatever it is, this pathway starts to be deranged and can shut down. And so how women need to approach these things is a little bit different than men. So we'll talk about cold plunge first. So women tend to have more subcutaneous fat and we have less lean mass than our male partners. So when we get into a cold plunge or an ice bath, we actually feel colder at a higher temperature. We sense the cold quicker and faster. So if your partner's getting in at 20 degrees Celsius, it's probably not a good idea. So for women, I like to start them a lot higher. I actually say start with cold showers first and work your way down. I personally cold plunge at about 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Colder is not better. But women actually do have better non-shivering thermogenesis. So our body is really good because we're a reproductive creature at fighting back a little bit. But it can take us, we feel the cold faster. It takes us longer to warm up. Now, depending where you're at in a menstrual cycle, if you're in the first 2 weeks of a menstrual cycle, you have more estrogen, which helps with vasodilation. It's a great time to try new things. It's a great time to jump in the cold plunge, do the sauna, try new things. When you're in luteal phase, which is the second half of the menstrual cycle, and you have more progesterone, the blood glucose is more unstable, our resilience and recovery is less. That's the time to probably not try the more extreme things, go for shorter periods of time, get into warmer water. And then when it comes to sauna, it's similar but different. On the other end of the temperature spectrum, the same thing. Estrogen is a vasodilator. So what's interesting is we feel the heat faster, but we don't sweat like men do. So they're really good at just dripping and sweating and dissipating the heat in that way. Women are not. And so we may perceive that those things that we feel hot, even though we're not sweating, and it takes us a longer time to cool down. And it does, it varies with the menstrual cycle. So sometimes you have to make your own protocol. So for cold plunge, I recommend 2 to 3 minutes at about 50 degrees, only about 3 times per week. More is not better. You could work your way up to 10 or 11 minutes, but beyond that, there's really diminishing returns. And then with sauna, about an hour per week, you can break it up into 20 to 45 minute sessions. And it all depends on your health status. I think back to what Juliet was saying about skipping base camp, the return on investment for these things is not as good if you're not eating, moving, sleeping, and doing the basics. Okay, if you think jumping in a sauna 3 times a week is gonna turn you into a superhero, it's just not
I'm
happening.
gonna skip to the NAD drip and sauna, and I'm good. I'm gonna eat Cheetos.
Just drop 20K and you're on your way. Yeah.
So, in terms of something else, the technology is fantastic, and we have some here today. Red light therapy. I know you're a fan. Let's talk about red light.
Well, when I first saw red light, I thought it was complete voodoo. But like anything, I want to see what the science says. So I go to PubMed and I'm like, this is really interesting. We are receivers of light. We're a biological creature just like these trees and plants and things like that. We get energy from the sunlight. And I actually started doing red light therapy because I had hypothyroidism. So one of the benefits of red light, you can actually red light the thyroid gland. But what red light does is it increases mitochondrial energy, reduces inflammation, reduces oxidative stress. So depending on what you're red lighting, you can red light the scalp. Women love to red light the face because it helps with stimulating the fibroblasts to make collagen. So I was like, yeah, put that red light here and here. Interestingly, for men, you can red light the scrotal skin, and it's thin enough to increase testosterone
Did your husband do an
production.
interesting experiment?
We did an N of 1 experiment. Yes, I actually made him go get his blood drawn, and he was like, "You want me to do what?" And I was like, "Come on, it's for science." But in women's health,
Don't do that here, guys. Not in the booth.
there's some interesting things for like menstrual cramps, endometriosis. But I'm a huge fan of red light. I mean, it's you can sit there, you can do breath work. I multitask when I red light because I don't sit still very well, but I can actually sit on the floor when I red light. So now I'm habit stacking like to the core. We're seeing more of these modalities come around. Red light units aren't cheap, but
There's
I'm a
real
huge fan of
science,
red
though.
light. There is real science. It's not voodoo. Although some places just put in red bulbs, so make sure you know what kind of red light they're putting
Don't
on.
buy a red bulb.
It is a specific wavelength of near red and infrared light.
So shifting from red light to girls in sports. So one thing we're equally passionate about, girls, the power of girls sports. I'm going to read some stats on weightlifting. First, mental health disorders are 1.5 to 2.5 times lower for girls who play sports versus those who never played. Girls who play sports report 1.5 times higher levels of meaning and purpose compared to those who never played. So I know you're a big fan. You've got 3 girls. They all play sports. You come from a sports family. Let's talk about your view on girls, sports, weightlifting, as we all look to raise powerful, strong girls and women in every sense of the word.
So when I was a little girl, I mean, I liked dressing up in my mom's high heels and painting my fingernails, but I was fortunate enough that my dad was a college and a professional athlete. And so I played a lot of sports as a kid, and I was in the weight room, and I got the opportunity to go to college and be a collegiate athlete. And genetically,
Not just Nebraska.
yes, go Huskers. But I loved the gym. I loved working out. I loved seeing what my body was capable of. But there was always this sense as a little girl of like looking at Cosmopolitan magazine and seeing these like really thin, lean women, and I just didn't identify with that. And so there was a phase in my life when I left college and went to medical school that I was like, I'm never going to lift another weight again. And I think that's extremely dangerous thinking. And so I would like the world to learn from my own lessons. Women have the same relative muscular potential as men. We really view in society that muscles are a masculine thing, that they're for the boys, they're for the men. And it's not, I mean, the reason that you say these statistics, it makes girls less depressed, they get better grades, they have more body confidence. So why aren't more girls doing it? Well, that's because when you go into the gym, in the free weight section of the gym, where there's barbells and free weights, for every woman that's in the section of the free weight section of the gym, there's 27 men. So little girls are not seeing that. We're not putting a woman squatting on the front of Cosmopolitan magazine. We're not showing girls what their bodies are capable of. So I just love this movement of women in sports and girls in sports. There is so many things to be gained in life. My dad used to say athletics are like a microcosm of life, and they are. It's like health, time management, teamwork, being coachable, coming back from losses. There's, not all of them are going to be collegiate and professional athletes, but there's so much to be gained for little girls, seeing how strong and amazing and incredible their bodies are. And I have 3 daughters, and I'm just trying to be the best example I can for them and all their friends.
Referencing that for was it 20? Well, let's clap for that. The 26-to-1 ratio in the gym, I read something like in the last day that more women, the numbers starting to change drastically in a way that is causing gyms to reconfigure gyms, because they usually they there was the cardio on the treadmills and the women would be there and the men would be there, and that's changed. And gyms are concerned about it. It's a good thing for gyms, but they have to reconfigure gyms because people aren't doing the treadmills.
Less than 20% of women do any sort of weightlifting at all. More than double are doing cardio. So you're right. They're leaving the treadmills. They're going to the weight section. They're trying to figure this out.
I love it. And so something that's a bit of concern for a lot of parents in 2025, early puberty for girls. What are your thoughts?
So when you look historically over the last 30 to 50 years, puberty is happening sooner across each decade that we go, and it's for a variety of reasons. The first and very obvious one is just the obesity trends. So when we have more body fat, we secrete a hormone called leptin, And when you get these leptin surges, it can tell the pituitary and ovarian axis to turn on too soon. So part of it is obesity. The second one is endocrine disruption. So we live in a world full of plastics and endocrine disruptors. It's the plastic water bottles, the plastic containers we're heating our food in, and then of course Sephora, right? We're like
I call it the
perfumes
endocrine
and
disrupting
makeups,
store.
and I mean, women use like on average 20 products on their body every day, and unfortunately, these things have downstream effects. They can stimulate estrogen receptors, and they're known as xenoestrogens. So that's part of it. Another part of it is our circadian rhythm pathways. So a lot of our hormones are made on a circadian rhythm. It's why we have a menstrual cycle. And little girls are, they're using smartphones at younger ages. They're using computers at younger ages. They're getting a lot of LED and blue light exposure. They're not getting sunlight. Our melatonin levels are lower, and that can affect the HPA axis as well. Stress is a big one. So just psychological child abuse, actually growing up without a father increases your risk of starting menstruation too early. There's a variety of reasons why it's happening. Although it sounds really big and scary, we have to think about what we can do about that, because there's something called epigenetics. So if our children are starting puberty too soon, they're actually passing that down in their DNA. But things that happen to your grandmother and your mother also can affect the timing of puberty for a girl. So we have to clean up our environment. So don't let your little girls carry plastic water bottles. Don't heat food in plastics. Look at the products that you're putting on your body, that you have in your homes. Get them sunlight, teach them how to eat, teach them how to lift weights and move their body. All of the things that, like I said, we already know. It's just about executing it.
Very reasonable. The personal care products are a big one, especially for girls, and plastic. Very reasonable. Jamie, thank you so much.
Thank you.